Hi everyone, welcome to episode 65 of Woolen Spinning. My name is Rachel and I'm coming to you from just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia. I can be found pretty much everywhere as Welford Pearls, and I want to welcome you to this place. It is Thursday, April 13th, and I can't believe that we're halfway through April already. This is crazy. But it is the second show of the month, so that means that there is a Patreon giveaway. And I drew from all the names of people who had supported the show in March of 2017, and Leanne, who is a relatively new patron, won. So Leanne in Great Britain, congratulations. If you can get in touch with me and let me know if you would like stitch markers or a mug, and I will send that out to you as quick as possible. Thank you to everybody who is a new viewer to the show or who is a returning viewer. And thank you especially to the Patreon subscribers of the show. You're the ones that keep the show on the air week after week after week. And you are also the reason for starting live streaming this month. We reached a huge milestone last month and we unlocked live streaming. I'm really excited to start that this month. And you guys who are patrons, if you go over to patreon.com/WelfordPearls, there is more details there about when that is going to air and how you can participate. So next week's show will have been pre-recorded as a live streaming show, and that will be ongoing until we unlock more and more and more, and eventually the show will be live streamed, and that will be how it is recorded week in and week out. So that's really exciting. The radio show, Woolen Spinning Radio, has been released to everybody who is a Patreon subscriber. Nina was who I was chatting with this month. She blogs over at, or she is Fuzzy Love Knots, which is, she does some design work. She's a hand spinner. She has a YouTube channel called Fuzzy Love Knots, and her and I chatted over Skype, and I share that interview with you this month. So thank you so much for being able to, for providing me the opportunity to be able to offer that and to do that, because I'm finding the audio podcast is sort of unlocking all of this other stuff that I want to be able to do, and it doesn't really work on video. So thank you to everybody who supports the show. And like I said, Woolen Spinning Radio episode 4 is live for everybody who gets that. And if you're interested in learning more about that podcast and everything, there is a link in the show notes at welfordpearls.com, and you can listen to a bit of a pilot episode and hear more about what's happening with the radio show. That's Charlotte. You might hear her whining a little bit. She's, we put her away for a few minutes because she kept doing things with her leg that she's not supposed to do. And we're having to slow her down a little bit. She thinks that she's a puppy again now that her leg is completely healed, and we're having to give her periods of rest because otherwise she's going to blow her other cruciates in her other leg. There is on the YouTube channel, I know there's quite a few people who've been contacting me and saying, thank you so much. I just found the show and I've just worked my way through all of your back episodes. Thank you so much to those people who've taken the time to reach out and to do that. I wanted to mention though, if you are working your way through the back episodes, if you go to the YouTube channel, to the landing page, and you click on playlists, I've actually organized all of the old shows into 10 episode segments. So you can actually click on the playlist for episodes 1 to 10, and then it goes 11 to 21, and then 22 to 33, anyways, and so on. And you can sort of hit play and it'll play all of the episodes for you. So I wanted to just highlight that and let you guys know that that is in the playlist channel on the landing page on YouTube. So let's get on with the show. In today's show, I have one finished skein. I have a couple of finished skeins. I have some chain ply that was leftovers, as well as some new chain ply that I mentioned last week. And I have a whole bunch of stuff in progress that I'm going to try to share with you and get through. And I have the Marigold Cowl by Nina LaFontaine, who is the radio show interviewee this month. I actually finally cast it on a few weeks ago and I haven't shared it yet. So I'm hoping that I can get to that today. So that is what is in store for today. So since we have such a packed show, I'm going to just jump right in and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've finished this past week, because I do have quite a number of things. I had mentioned last week, and I had shown a photo of the pencil roving that I had been working on from Smith & U, and this was some superwash BFL, and I had shared this skein on the show, and I had showed you how over twisted it was and how much twist there was in it, and it was like bouncing up and it was twisting on itself, and I spun it at 22-1 on my match list, so it was intentionally very high twist. And then when I was plying it, I put in the same and even more ply twist at 22-1 to really get this yarn overly twisted. And it's not soft. Sorry, some of my hair was stuck in it. It's not soft. It's a bit crunchy. The crazy thing is though, since washing it, it's softened up quite a bit, and it's got a really nice hand. And I would have no problems wearing this against my skin now that it's all plied and washed and dry. I gave it a good snap, and I gave it a good thwack on the side of the no, I didn't thwack it because I didn't want to I didn't want a halo or to bring any of those little fibers, the little tips of the fibers out of the yarn. I only snapped it and I hung it to dry. So this is what it looks like. And I got the other bobbin that was done. I got it plied. So these are both chain plied, roughly 220 yards each. And it's really interesting because this one I have quite a few spots of where the colors marled together and twisted together. And in this one, there's barely any, which is so weird. How two skeins that I spun exactly the same way, plied the same way, can come out a little bit different. So this one has not been washed, and it twists back on itself 4 times, and it's quite wiry. And this one has been washed, like I mentioned. And it's not balanced, but it twists on itself once. So pretty different. One washed, one unwashed. They're very, very different. So it'll be interesting to see once this one is washed and finished, how it hangs, because it'll do the same thing, and it'll relax, and it'll be these will be ready to cast on. So I'm interested to see what they're going to knit up like, because this one isn't quite so marled and the other one is. So we shall see about that. But that spin is finished, and while I was spinning it, Nora had asked for, she didn't want socks. What did she want? So the leftovers of this, she wanted stripes in a toque. So I have some similar gauge creamy white BFL that I had spun way back when I first started spinning, and I'm going to knit her up a toque in that and add the leftovers of this in as stripes on the toque for her for the fall. So I'm excited to make that for her. But this spin is done, which feels really good. So the next thing that I finished was actually something that had been languishing on my wheel and had been waiting to be finished, and I just kept thinking, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, and of course I didn't get to it. And I was hoping that I would have an opportunity to talk about this a little bit more. But remember back in March there was Fibers West, and I had spun up some thick and thin one morning before going back to the show for the second day. So that thick and thin sat on the wheel for quite a number of weeks, and I decided just to chain ply it. So it was thick and thin, and it had these really huge thick spots, and it's ended up just being this really cool textured yarn. And I'm glad to get it off the wheel. I unintentionally matched up the thick spots with the thin, and the thin spots to unintentionally end up with a thick and thin chain ply. So there's more spots than not where there's a thin part and a thick part in the yarn. It has a lot of extra twist in those spots that are thinner, because of course twist goes to areas of thinness in the fiber. So there are areas that are overspun and over twisted that no matter what I do, that's just not going to come out. But I might throw this into some textured weaving eventually. I'm going to kind of put it aside. It's a great little sample skein to show my students. And because I'm going to be teaching at Sweet Georgia starting again last night, I taught the first class last night, and for the next 11 weeks, I'll bring this and show them and give them some ideas of other things that they can do when they're chain plying and other types of yarns they can make, which is kind of neat. So just clearing off the bobbins more than anything. I had talked about last week that I would chat some more about color studies this week, and this is the last skein of color studies that I have finished. So I have 2 bumps of this sunset colorway left, and I don't really know what to do with them. So if anybody has any questions or are curious about a certain way of spinning this fiber and they want to see it that way, can you leave a message below or send me a note on Ravelry or on Instagram or something and say, hey, I'd really like to see X, Y, or Z. So something that I haven't done before. We've done crepe yarn, we've done chain ply. No, we haven't done chain ply. We've done crepe yarn, cable yarn, which is this, which I'm going to talk to you about in a sec, spiral ply, we've done some traditional 2-ply, we've done center pull 2-ply, we've done singles. So if there's anything that you'd like to see in particular, I have 2 bumps that I can do whatever with, so let me know. So this was the cable yarn. This is how it turned out. It came out very muted. The colors really blend together in this method. They kind of look a little bit like confetti. They kind of pop out in different spots, but because the colors are tonally very similar, there isn't a lot of difference between the tone of the yellow and the tone of the blue. It makes for just a very harmonious, quiet yarn. There's places in my cable ply that could have been tightened up a little tiny bit, and at first glance, when you first look at this, it almost looks like a 2-ply because I have these areas that ended up just doing barber pulling. That's all they did was marl. But when you look more closely, you can see, oh, hang on, wait a second, that's actually a cable ply. So this is one of those yarns that in passing would be, if it was a commercial yarn, it would be, to the untrained eye, it would be very often mistaken for a 2-ply, which is sort of interesting. So upon inspection, you learn that it's a 4-ply, but to the untrained eye, it looks like a 2-ply. So I have a YouTube video of how I made this and the directions of twist and everything on YouTube. It was the teaching content for the patrons last month for March, and it's just gone live to everybody. So it's on my YouTube channel, and I will link to it down below so that you can see how these yarns are made. Overall, it's a pleasing yarn, but very muted and very quiet, and I just love the look of cable ply. Like, it really does look like a cable, and they're so round and so springy and so bouncy. I really like them. But in terms of the colors, it doesn't make the colors sort of jump out at you anymore, just because they are very quiet, and it makes for a really lovely skein of more muted, gentle colors, which is, very pleasing. I think that's, I was looking for this. I was like, where did it go? I finished the first bobbin of a sock spin that I just started. This is some of my friend Katrina's fiber. This is her Northern Lights colorway, and she is Crafty Jack's Boutique. Many of you know Katrina quite well because you're getting to know her on the Slack channel, and she's very active over there and also on the Ravelry group for those who participate in the Ravelry group. So this is her Northern Lights colorway, and I'm actually doing socks with this. This is her merino nylon, superwash merino nylon base, and I have 4 ounces to play with. So that was my first bobbin, and now I'm going to start my second bobbin hopefully today, hopefully, fingers crossed. And I'm really enjoying that. It's been really lovely to spin, and I'm eventually going to have some socks out of that. And it's funny because they're not really my colors. Like, that really bright hot pink is not really my cup of tea. But the colors themselves work so nicely, and the blues are so my colors. And the way that the transition between the colors is working, I'm just really enjoying, like, oh, there's a little bit of pink now, and oh, there's some blue. I'm really enjoying that transition, and I'm enjoying this spin more than I thought I would, which is really, really great, because when you sit down to spin socks, you know that you're going to be sitting there for a while. You know you've got a really fine singles that you're spinning, and you know that you're going to be working on them for a while. And it's been really nice just having those colors transition through my hands and being excited to work on it, because I've been feeling lately quite overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of projects that I've got on the go. I've got knitting stuff going, I've got spinning stuff going, and I feel like nothing's getting done. And it's not necessarily the case. It's just that when you have so many works in progress, And I really like to finish things off, so that, especially with yarn, so that I can go on to the next stage of production, whether that be knitting or weaving. And lately I've been feeling like I've got all these bobbins, but nothing's actually getting done. So it's nice to sort of focus on the project and just enjoy the transition of the colors on the bobbin, if that makes sense. I have been washing all the fleece, all of the fleece, all of it. I made a pact with myself that I was going to start. I have a ton of fleece, like whether it be half-pound bags of a piece of a fleece or an entire fleece, or gifts of various things that are like locks from this. And I just have a lot of fleece, and it's kind of piling up. And I have a lot of braids of comb top as well, and it's kind of piling up. So any of the fiber clubs that I have been a part of in the past, I've sort of put a stop to anything that's coming into the house that's not Sweet Georgia Club or raw fleece, because I'm just getting like inundated with so much stuff that I've bought and brought into the home. And one of the things that I really wanted to focus on this year that keeps getting pushed to the back burner is this idea of working from the very first stage of things. So right from the raw fleece. And after Fibers West, I've sort of got my materials. I have a plan, I've got a direction. And so I'm hoping that over the coming weeks, I'll be able to share with you sort of how that is going. So I had showed you the bag of fleece that I bought, and it's a Merino Romney cross from up in the Okanagan, and I have started washing it. I talked to my friend Sarah over at Fiber Trek about the fleece. We had we wanted to catch up with one another, and we hopped on Skype one night, and I was showing it to her, and I was like, what would you do, and how would you do this? And originally my plan was to comb this, and in the end I actually decided to card it. So I've been washing it, and I only have one garment bag, like one laundry bag. So I actually got a whole bunch of these. I bought about 5 of them just to get the fleece, get this stuff going and get some washing done. I think they were like $4 each, and they're nicely made. They'll stand up to what I want to do with it. And I have started a daily practice and a promise to myself to wash a little bit of fleece, even if it's just one of those bags, every day. The nice thing about washing fleece is once you put it into the scour water, I tend to soak my stuff overnight to open up the ends of the locks and just get things sort of opened up and some of the dust and dirt to fall off of it. So when I get up in the morning, I do a bit of a rinse, and then I go on to the scouring process. And to get this stuff scoured and get it nicely clean, like this is beautiful, really nice. So I don't feel any residual anything on here. There's some VM and whatnot, but that will come out in the spinning and fiber prep stage. I've been leaving it to scour for about 20-25 minutes, and then taking it out and then doing another scour and then rinsing. So it takes about an hour, but it's not an hour of actually standing there over the sink doing it. You put it into the scour water and walk away. So I've been trying to do that at least once every morning. And I had showed this to you eons ago. This is some American tunis that I got from Guild. We have a mystery fiber club group thing that we can join, and every couple of months my friend Anne brings a mystery fiber for us to play with. So this was American tunis from back in the fall, and I started washing it right away, but I never finished it. I think with the winter that we had and the lack of outside time and the lack of getting anything outside spindling done, like last winter we spent a ton of time outside and I got a ton of spindling done, but this year that wasn't the case. So I finally got what I had already washed and processed done and off my spindles. I am so in love with this skein. I really like a lot of what I make, and I often share that with you guys on the show. Like I'll say I really like this, and then I'll carry on. I love this so much. I had hand combed all of the locks, and I don't think I have any more locks. I do have them to show you. I have stuff everywhere. That's why I keep moving around so much. So just bear with me here, because I had hand combed all of these little nests of fiber. And I had talked about this on the show a while ago, way back in the fall. And so everything that I had hand combed, I finished in this skein and I applied it. I just got fiber everywhere. And I'm waiting for hackles. I did get some hackles. I was gonna actually, okay, full disclosure. I'm in the market for a spinning wheel, and I was gonna buy the spinning wheel. I'm not going to get into which one I was looking at or what I'm hoping to get, but I will say that it is my husband's 10-year wedding anniversary this year. So with that, I was looking at spinning wheels, and I've actually decided to table that for now. I really love the wheels that I've got, and everything that I want to do at this stage I can do on my wheels. So I tabled it, and I decided instead to get a hackle. I've been wanting a hackle for a really, really long time. It's a fraction of the cost, even though hackles themselves are quite expensive. So I will talk more about that over the coming shows and sort of what that looks like. But I'm kind of waiting for my hackle to finish processing the rest of this, because it's this beautiful long wool. American Toonie is a long wool, and it's got this unbelievable sheen and luster, and I'm gonna hackle the rest of it and just get some big clouds of comb top made and get the rest of this processed, because it's ended up being about when I looked at it on my control card, I think it's about 18 wraps per inch. So it's a fingering weight, and I'm thinking that I'll have enough to make a shawl. So that is my goal, and that is my plan. And I am going to dye some of it, because the long wools take dye just so nicely. Whether I do it with acid dyes or natural dyes, I'm not sure. But that's what I've been working on, and that's why I haven't processed any more, is because I'm waiting for my hackle. So I'm hoping to get that going and have a whole bunch of stuff combed up for next show, because I am picking them up this week. The other thing that I have been working on is, so I showed you these that I've been washing. This is my Merino Romney from up in the Okanagan. That's my Zero to Hero spackle spin. So I decided while I was waiting to do more of my Toonie and waiting for my hackle, that I would start sampling some of this on my spindle. So I have been carding it up into these unbelievable bats. Oh my goodness. This fiber, this wool is, I don't think I've ever worked with fiber that is as bouncy and elastic as this is. Like it's just incredible. And so I've been spinning it up on one of my Bossies. This is my Bosworth midi spindle, I think. It's my medium weight. It's about, I think this one's 18 or 22 grams. I love this spindle. I use it all the time for sampling. And I've been carding up the bats. So here's one bat. And there is some VM in the bats, and I have been having to wash my carder after, just to pick it out to get all of the stuff out. But the VM for the most part is actually just dropping out as I'm spinning. But the crazy thing is these bats are just like pillows. They feel like pillows. Like if you put your head down on your pillow, that's what it feels like. Like I wish with video that we could you could reach through the screen and feel it, because it's so unbelievably elastic. There's just no other word for it. This fiber is just it's the crimp though. I think the last one of the locks that I had measured, I got out my ruler and I measured how many crimps per inch there is, and there's about 15. And I did it in several different spots in several different places on the fleece. And so that crimp structure and just that incredible bounce and sproing of the fiber is of course being translated into this really airy light prep. And then I'm not smoothing it as I'm spinning. So as I'm drafting, I'm letting go and then drafting and letting go. So it's sort of a semi-worsted draft with a woolen prep. And I'm hoping that it'll create just a really lovely springy yarn. So I'm going to 2-ply this sample and see what I think. I'm going to finish spinning this, and I'll 2-ply it, and I'll see what I think and how I want to proceed, because I don't really want to do a 3-ply, but I might, just for the roundness and the bounce and the stitch definition. And if I choose to make something with cables, then I probably will do a 3-ply just for that stitch definition. the last thing that's spinning related that I wanted to talk about, and I might actually finish the show with this and talk about my knitting next show because it's just getting a little bit long, is the Norwegian that we've been working on in the Ravelry group. I had, again, spindling. I had put everything down and put it all aside for the winter. But now that we're outside again and the weather is so improved, which is why I'm recording by the window today, because I've been working nights and I am so desperate for anything like sunlight, outside. Like I'm such a creature of wanting to be outside all the time that I find as soon as it's nice and I've been on nights and haven't seen the daylight for several days, I'm just clamoring to get outside. So I finished my first turtle. I actually finished this at our executive meeting at Guild the other night. And I've been working my way through the rest of our Norwegian. So this was part of our breed study that we started back last summer, and I'm still working my way through it. So I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to finish up this spin. I have just a little bit more, and this was the all of the fiber that I had from the Norwegian. So once I get this all spun up, I'll have enough to do something with. And I'm actually thinking that I might put it with the Tunis because it's a long wool as well, and the luster on here is amazing, and it'll take the dye just beautifully. And I'm sort of thinking about combining the two into a shawl so that I can get more bang for my buck in terms of something larger. And I also wanted, for those who joined in and with with breed studies, I really wanted to share something with you, because I had said that I thought maybe this fiber was also called spelsow, and because it's Norwegian top. And I got a great email from Lynn, who is Yarn Dream on Ravelry, and I'm going to read out a little bit of what she wrote, and I hope that my pronunciation of stuff is okay, so bear with me. I did a little bit more digging, and this is in fact Norwegian white sheep, and that's what this came from. So I'm going to read what she wrote because this is not spelsow, so bear with me. There is a breed called the Norwegian White, which is a plain white meat breed, and the wool is also sold. Spelsow is just one of the older varieties, and it, along with Gammelnorsk and Vilsow, get quite a bit confused. And they go way back in time. But then there is a Blaiset with dark wool, and there is even a fine wool breed, the Grey Tronger or the Gratronger. Sorry for my pronunciation. That is my favorite because it is a cross made by the monks who lived on an island outside of Trondheim, and they crossed the local with the now extinct Troutau sheep, sorry for my pronunciation again, with merino that they had imported from Spain. So they came in shades of gray and have a very soft merino-like fleece. Depending on the branch of the family, they can have a little or none of the tougher guard hairs, but they are amazing. Anyways, there are a few, these are only a few of the breeds. I wonder if you were calling it Norwegian because it is the only one in the Fleece and Fiber source book, and they call it Norwegian. But these are not all of the breeds. I think I missed one or two, but I am still learning myself. Anyways, if I were doing a podcast and a breed study, I would want to know myself. So I figured I would speak up. Have a great day, Lynn. She's absolutely right. And that's what this podcast is all about. And that is why you guys are here, is because we're curious about these kind of things and we always want to know more. So this particular breed from this particular breed study that we did is Norwegian White. So that is what this wool is called, and that is why we were calling it Norwegian, because even I didn't really know. That was what it was sold as, was Norwegian White. And when you start digging a little bit deeper, it says that, you know, Norwegian is also spelsow. So it's very confusing and it's very misleading. So I've started the next little bit on my Kapara spindle, and this is my 30 gram natural knotwood spindle. And I am going to continue spinning until I have all of my singles spun, and then I'm going to make a 2-ply. And I'm hoping to have this done over the next probably month or so. I haven't been working on it exclusively, as you can tell. So that is on its way and is actually going, which is really exciting, because then I think I only have a little tiny bit of the baby llama left to spin, which I did some of it as a boucle, and the rest of it I'm going to do as a lace weight 2-ply as well. And I'm actually maybe even going to throw that in with my shawl as well. I'm not really totally sure. Anyways, I need to go. I will talk to you guys next week. Have a wonderful Easter, and Happy spinning. Bye, guys.